Two G's on the belt, yeah, I'm feeling this girl, now I'm feeling myself.
Yes, we are back. 2G's in the pod, your mum's favorite duo, back in the studio again. What are you telling me, Andy?
I'm cool, man. I'm cool. It's been a minute, man. It's been a long time.
Yeah, them Corona Chronicles, boy, they've been few and far between.
Yeah, man. What you been saying?
Episode 2. I'm good, man. I'm good. I've been busy. A lot going on recently. So, I mean, in the world and personally as well. So, like, just been a lot to keep up with. But yeah, I've been good, keeping myself going. How about you?
I've been alright, man. Just trying to keep myself occupied still. Obviously, the last it's been almost a month now, actually. The last like 3-4 weeks, I've been kind of heavy in it. So, which we're gonna get into in a second. But yeah, but prior to that, I was just keeping myself occupied and stuff. We've been in this thing for 3 months now, so it's kind of become the new normal, isn't it? Like the new, just find a routine. Well, to be fair, I've been stepping out a bit more, like since Boris, like, what's it called? What did he do again? Like, when he loosened the lockdown.
Yeah. I mean, lockdown's kind of over now.
Yeah, it's basically
like 2 weeks now. From 2 weeks from now, everything will be open again, right?
I think so.
Am I wrong in that?
Something like that. I mean, they dropped it down to level 3 or whatever that means. I don't know what any of that stuff means, but I was like, bro.
I've been getting back into football a bit. I've been trying to like do some freestyle and shit. So yeah, man, I'm there.
I haven't done any exercise but I haven't moved. Like literally, I just be at home. Like, you know what's bad? I think it's peak because my metabolism is good, so there's no like incentive to exercise because like I know I'm never gonna get too fat or too thin. I'm just always
age creeps up on everyone. Don't rest on that metabolism, boy. Because I'm the same, but right now I'm starting to see the effects of like a more sedated lifestyle like I previously had.
I don't think you're the same, bro.
No. My metabolism was very high. And now,
bro, listen.
Bro, I'm telling you, I couldn't put on weight. I was trying to put on weight when I was younger. It wasn't possible because the food just went straight through me. But now, food is rolling around in my belly, man. It's hard to adjust as well. It's hard to adjust to like actually having to watch what you eat. Yeah.
I've never really been one to watch. Like, it's more I just make I exercise enough to offset the stuff I put in. Do you get me? But I get like, once you get to a certain age. I'm trying like you're some old man that you're like a year older.
I'm 25 now. I'm an old man.
Oh, man.
I'm a wise old man out in these streets.
You're just saying
my
that
house.
I'm back in it now. You're saying, oh yeah, I'm wise and old, bro. Oh man. But yeah, so as I was saying, last few weeks have been pretty heavy with the the murder of George Floyd on which went viral, and then since then there's been a lot of like discourse about racism, racial injustices, police brutality in the US and like beyond as well, because obviously in the US is where you see it most. I don't know what word to use. I don't want to say most blatantly, but it kind of just dominates. Like once stuff, I guess the crimes are so like in your face over there, whereas over here it's a little bit less overt. It's still pretty overt over here in certain cases, but it's a bit less overt. But yeah, so since then, obviously, a lot of conversations about race and stuff, a lot of discussions, a lot of supposed activism, if you can call it that for some people. But yeah, what are your thoughts on everything? It's a bit of my question, to be honest.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's not an easy one to break down.
You know what it's like here? I'll tell you. So I had basically there was this letter that went around, this open letter. It went in the Independent because basically one girl that went to my school. I think she was 2 years below me, so I don't actually remember who she is. But her mum works for the Independent or something like that. So she was like, she wrote an open letter to her school and like other private schools about racism in like, you know, private schools or independent schools. And basically was like, because her mum works for the Independent, she was able to get it in the newspaper. And because of that, obviously all the schools were like shook because it's bad for their image to have a letter calling them out for being racist. So next thing, I'm getting emails from teachers, all this stuff here. So I had a Zoom call with my teacher, my old head of sixth form. It was me and my brother, and then my old head of sixth form, and then one teacher that used to teach my brother. And we went on for like 2 hours. And literally, the question was basically like, it was just the two of them, then two white teachers come in. They're like, effectively, it's like, yeah, so what do you think about racism? And we just had to back for 2 hours. Like, it was a good conversation. It was good, but yeah, it's a bit. I feel like sometimes with these kind of things, it's literally like white and non-black people just kind of look at you and they're like, so like, what do you think? And this is like,
tell me.
What do you mean? Where do I even start? Like,
yeah. No, I mean, one thing I have noticed is a lot more conversations around it have come up in the past couple of weeks. So my initial thoughts on it when I first like saw it, I mean, I didn't watch the video.
I was gonna say,
I saw like 10 seconds of it when I didn't actually know what it was. So it got posted in a group chat and I just clicked into it. I was like, oh shit. Then I clicked out of it. But my initial feelings were like quite sad because I don't know, for me, it just feels like this stuff happens over and over again.
Too much.
And like, I don't know, man. There was just a lot of like sadness, like a slight feeling of like just hopelessness, because I feel like we always protest these things and then things don't change. Like this is the same situation that happened 5 years ago, and 5 years before that, and you know what I'm saying? And like
even 2 weeks before the George Floyd.
I'm going further back in terms of like the mass protests. Even like, I mean, the killing of black people by the police, that just happens all the time. And then it's just like, I don't know, everything like, yeah, it was just, for me, it was just a sense of like, is this actually like ever going to change?
Yeah.
So I feel like there was like a lot of weight due to that. And then it was great, obviously, to see people protesting. I went to one. Yeah, I think I went to the same one as you.
Oh, at the embassy.
Yeah. I was there.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously it was, and that was again nice because it was good to see so many people out, like supporting the cause.
I feel like with the embassy one though, yeah, I feel like a lot of people went to Central because I saw bare stuff on Instagram and stuff of like loads of people in Central, and I was like,
they marched to Parliament Square, no?
Oh, they marched from the embassy to Parliament Square.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Because the police blocked off the route to the embassy after a certain point.
Okay, that makes sense. Because the whole time I was there, I was like, because obviously I've never been to a protest before, so it was the first time I went. It was like not like what I'd seen on Instagram or on like online basically, and then I just assumed that maybe if it's actually like peaceful, nothing happens, then it's not gonna grab headlines in the same way. So basically, I was just like, oh, this one turned out to be like properly peaceful and stuff. So maybe that's why it was not quiet, because there were a lot of people there, but it was just very, I'll say, orderly, which is good, I guess. But no, it makes sense if the bulk of people had marched to Parliament Square from the embassy. That makes sense.
Yeah. They had to because it got blocked off Parliament at the embassy. So yeah, I mean, it was great to see that, and like it's good to see like at least some changes are coming about. Whether that like overhauls the like system of racism is a different story, but at least the protests are causing some effects.
Mm.
So that was good. And then it's good that people are starting to like talk about these things a bit more. Like there's sort of like more of an like
Less
people
of a
taking
taboo
it.
subject.
Yeah, and people taking it upon themselves to actually like, rather than just asking, to like actually think and try and learn about it. So that, I mean, maybe down the line we'll see like the knock-on effects of what's happening now. But yeah, I'm just always like a little bit pessimistic because I mean,
Yeah, I'm the same.
we've all seen the same scenario play out
Many
times before. Like even violent protests. It's not the first. Like I mean, however minimal the violent protest was, it's not the first violent
I don't
protest.
even like using the word violent because I don't think you can be violent by destroying a building, bro. It's a building. It's not a person. So, I mean, I guess violence means, you know, like, I actually looked up the dictionary definition for violence because everyone was banging on about it. I was like, does this count as violence just because you're like smashing the window or something? And I think it technically does according to the dictionary, but the dictionary is wrong, bro. Like, they need to change that because it's not. Or there needs to be like levels to the violence because, bro, choking a man out for what 9 minutes.
I'm not even saying it's a negative thing that there were violent protests. Like violence is sometimes a legitimate means to an end. So like we can put it out there that sometimes it is. It's not like it's so like black and white.
I feel like there's like a negative connotation to violent, and I feel like what's happening isn't even actually violent. Like if you're gonna compare, it's like, bro, this isn't violent. We smashed the window of a shop, like compared to killing a man. Like there's a big difference.
Yeah, it's a cause and effect. It's a cause and effect.
Like because when people say violent and then they start throwing like riots and looting, all these words, and it's like, bro, like you're missing the point of everything. Like
thuggery.
You're just there, bro. You're just
distracted from
everything.
But what I'm saying is like, it's not even the first time that's happened. That happened.
Yeah.
That happened in London. That happened in Tottenham in 2011. That happened in LA after Rodney King. That happened like
after Mike Brown. So.
Yeah. So it's just like, it just seems like it's a cyclical. It just keeps repeating. I'm seeing slow change, slow change. But like,
you know what it is? Yeah, I think I remember when the protest started. Barack Obama put he wrote like an essay for some blog site or something, basically saying like you need both. You need the protest and the I guess the peaceful action of like politically trying to change the thing. And I feel like sometimes, or in the past ones that we've seen, I feel like the focus is always on the protest part, and then there's less on organizing in other ways to have like an actual sustained change, because you can't protest every day forever.
It's true.
And if you are protesting every day forever, that means your protests aren't working because nothing's changing. So I feel like there's less attention is paid to the other side of like, how do we actually sustain a change so that we don't have to be in this situation a few years from now, or a few months from now, or whenever it is. I feel like there's not enough attention paid to that. And so, yeah, that's why I'm also a bit pessimistic. I feel like I've become a bit of a cynic with these kind of things, which isn't good, but like, it's hard not to be cynical because there's like so much fuck shit, man. So much fuck shit. And you're just like, bro, this world is fucked, man. Like, so much of it. Like, when you start actually thinking about how the world works, you're like, bro, this thing is fucked from head to toe, top to bottom. Like, even looking at America alone, it's literally like, it needs reform or like abolition of every system that they have. Like, prison industrial complex, flipping healthcare system, the police, like, bro, every system they have, educational reform, everything that happens there needs to be fixed. Which makes you think, bro, like, the task is so big that it's like, how do you even go about fixing it?
That's what I'm saying. It's so huge, so ingrained. It's difficult. I'm happy that people have like taken this up as like a cause to like protest and struggle against.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Same.
so that's definitely a positive. I'm hoping that it can be sustained. Uh, yeah, as you said, like probably more in terms of like organization rather than protests. I mean, protests can be there, but obviously, like, just not the only thing. But yeah, I don't know. Pessimism is there a lot for me, but we'll see, man. Hopefully it can. Hopefully it can be sustained.
Yeah.
It would be a great thing if it could be.
Nah, I don't know. I'm in two minds because like, yeah, I'm like you. I didn't watch it when the video came because I feel like firstly I think it was when I think the guy's name was like Andres Breivik or something. He was an Australian like mass shooter. You know the guy that he shot bare people in Australia, and then after that they changed their gun rules like straight away. So his mass shooting, he recorded it and put it on Facebook Live as if it was like a first-person shooter game. Like literally, it looked like Call of Duty. And so after that, I watched a bit of that, and I was like, bro, you shouldn't. It's not normal to be seeing people die just like as if it's a flipping PlayStation game. And I kind of like took it upon myself to not watch them kind of videos and stuff because I feel like firstly you become desensitized to it. And like I feel like I'm already desensitized to it to an extent, but like you don't want to become so desensitized to it that you just kind of there's no reaction when you see this kind of stuff. So, and I also feel like I had a discussion with my sister about this actually because I feel like the like spreading of the like viral videos of someone dying. I don't know how I feel about that as well because I feel like obviously without it the whole protest and everything wouldn't have sparked in the way they did because if there wasn't the whole online outrage it wouldn't have translated into anything. So I guess you do need it to be recorded and you do need it to be spread to get a certain a certain reaction out of it. But at the same time I feel like there's no dignity for the man that dies or the person that dies. There's no dignity, there's no and it's not even like they ask his family, oh, can we share this video with everyone? It's like the video goes out. So imagine like you're his wife or his kid or something like that. Well, he's a bit young, but imagine you're his wife or someone like that, just on Instagram and you just see your partner or your husband or whatever.
Yeah.
It's pretty. So I feel like I know, because my sister said basically like, she was like, it's an unfortunate reality that like it's necessary that it needs to be documented so that there's a reaction. So, but I was like, it shouldn't be. It's not on us to just make that decision of whether it should be spread and documented like that. And not only that as well, it's not on us. And also, it's like I was saying how I choose not to watch it and all that stuff, and choose not to share it. And she was like, but by not sharing it, like you're like look at the effect that happens when it is shared. So surely sharing it is something that like it's almost our duty to share it kind of thing. I was like, that's not right. And also I feel like when you share it and stuff, because I'm like, bro, talking to like white people and non-black people on this, it's like, bro, why this specific one have you suddenly been like, oh, like, bro, there's like 150, 200 names from the last flipping. I actually Googled it actually. There was 260 police killings, 268 police killings last year. Yeah. I forget how many were unarmed. I forgot now. But basically, I was like, well, so what is it? 261? You're like, oh no, man, this one's like, what is it like? Because I was chatting to Laz about this. I was like, I think it's this Corona thing. People are bored at home.
It's
so like a mixture of they're bored at home, so they kind of want to go out. They're bored at home, so they got more time on their phones. They're bored at home, so they're not, occupied with commuting to work or busy with X, Y, Z. So it's like that's the reason we're seeing this outrage in this particular instance, and that kind of that also adds to the pessimism because I'm like, so once everything goes back to normal, everyone goes back to their day-to-day 9 to 5 or whatever, is it that it's going to be an afterthought again? Which I think is already the case. I think it's already the case. Like all the companies that did their black squares and whatever, and we'll get onto that in a second. all the people that posting their black squares and that, bruv, it's like they're back to business as usual, man. Like, and that's my thing. It's like it will always be an afterthought because the system isn't designed for us, and not only that, these companies, etc., don't even have black people working in there for it to be like not an afterthought. It's the same way, like, I'll be a good example. When we do the Hood Grammys thing, obviously the committee's all guys. So we always have to think, are we being biased towards men when we're, doing our lists and whatever, yeah? But obviously it's an afterthought because it's not the first thing in our head. Because naturally it's just not going to be the first thing. Obviously it could be better. It should be like inherently in there, but like everybody has their biases and whatnot. And it's the same. So it's like these companies and stuff, like, you can get at them all the time, but until they hire black people in high positions, it's always going to be an afterthought. It's never going to be natural to them to think, and even when it is natural, or like even when they do think about it, they get it wrong all the time, bro. Like, I've got so many stories of flipping, even after this recent thing, like, one of my colleagues, old colleagues when I was working at Felix, yeah, and she's proper sick with this stuff, like, ally activism and stuff, and I'll get onto allies as well because I've got a thing about them. But basically, like, she, as allies go, she's proper sick, like well-read, she educates people, etc. Yeah, but even her, she must have been messaging me about the thing. Yeah, she said something along the lines of like, "Oh man, I'm sorry for white people, like we're shit," kind of thing. And I was like, "Bro, you don't need to tell me. I get it." And stuff. And then she must have gone. It was a sunny day that day, and she was like basically telling me, that whole thing about check on your black friends and all that shit. So she was like, like go enjoy the sun, etc. Get that melanin popping. And I'm like, fam, you guys are just fucking corny with it, man. Like, and I didn't call her out on it because she's nice and be like, I know she meant well, but I'm thinking, bro, like, you just don't know how to not be corny with wrong when you do this stuff. Like, and like, I don't know, because it's like, I could have cussed her, but I didn't. And it's just like, there's just so many examples of stuff. Like even my head of sixth form, she was telling me she went on sabbatical last year. She went to Uganda on basically my school has a few schools that they built in Uganda, helped to build. I think they helped to build like 3 schools out there. So she went out there to check on schools, help teach a few classes, etc. And she wrote an article about the trip. And during my speech or my conversation with her, I said, like, I was like breaking down all the problems of racism in our school. And I was like, it even goes down to just how you portray Africa, like portraying it as kind of a basket case, a charity case, kind of encouraging this whole white saviorism, sending a bunch of posh private school kids to come and help build a school when none of them have built anything in their life. So how much can they really be helping? Stuff like that, yeah. And then so she was all like, give me some food for thought on the article. But she sent me the article to like proofread it. Afterwards, she's like, yeah, I made a lot of changes. Like, let me know what you think. And I'm thinking, number one, I'm not your black consultant. Like, I'll be like, is this, have I crossed any lines here kind of thing? Number two, she is an English teacher. So you as an English teacher are asking me to check your work. And bro, the whole thing, unpaid as well, unpaid. I read it, it was calm. I said it back to her, I said, it's good. Take out the picture of the child soldier and you're good. And it was just like, fam, I don't know, because obviously she means well, because she wants to make sure that her article doesn't, push white saviorism, etc. Basically isn't unhelpful to the conversation. So I understand it. But even the way you go about it, like leaning on black people to do unpaid labor to help you, like, bro, what does unpaid labor from a black person, what does that sound like, fam? Like, I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I'm just like, it makes me, yeah, man, it's hard to keep any hope that things will actually change, like, and permanently change, because it's like, I don't know, I feel like it's inherent in some people to just get it wrong, in most people to get it wrong. And
yeah.
I don't know, because it's like,
it's a very like fundamental issue, but it's just a big issue to tackle. I've had so many conversations recently about how to tackle it. Like you have people talking about like politics, about like buying black, like so economics. You have things about like reform. There's so much like ideas, and I just feel like all of these will help. All of these will help. I recommend people to do them. But I don't see, maybe I'm cynical, I don't see it that alone as being enough.
I agree with you.
Like I feel like the entire system, like everything would need to change, and so hard to get that. Like just globally things would need to change.
But the thing is as well, I remember I was saying, I think I said this to my cousin time back. I was like, things aren't going to change for a number of reasons, in my opinion. I think, and I don't want to be too pessimistic on this because I don't want people to.
Yeah, we sound a bit cynical, bro.
I don't want people to leave and think there's no hope, because I've got some theories of what can actually help. Well, actually, there's two things, because it's like help in terms of having some progress so black people aren't being killed in the streets by police. Yeah, that is something that can tangibly happen.
Yes.
But you know, if we abolish the police or whatever, reform the police, whatever you want to call it, if we do that, I don't think that means suddenly racism will have disappeared.
No.
Or the system will suddenly start working for us, etc. So I think it's just one thing, and it's like if we take that approach, cool, we'll have progress in the sense that once we tick that off the list, we've sorted out police brutality, if ever you could do that. Then we sort out like educational reform or whatever it is, yeah. But then it's like the list is endless. So there will be progress, but there will always be something else. So whereas having a system where the inequalities aren't inherent and don't need to be kind of revamped or whatever, I think that's a different task. And that I guess, like, essentially it's the tackling racism as an actual like thing is a different task to taking the individual, I guess, manifestations of racism as we see it play out today. So I feel like those things, stuff can be done, but the actual tackling of racism as a thing, this is what I said to my cousin. I was like, it's not on black people to fix it, because firstly, we've been trying forever. So history would suggest that we are unable to fix it, because we're able to fix certain things and make it better slowly, but that doesn't mean it's fixed. So the onus is on white and non-black people, specifically white people, obviously, because they're the ones that invented the system, invented race as a construct, etc. So they're the ones that it's on them to fix it. But so when I say it's on them, I mean white people in general, and like governments, etc. But they've shown time and time again that they're not. That's not their main focus. That's not their number one interest. Even this whole thing playing out, where they're like, oh, as in they like, when I hear people say like, I didn't know and all that stuff, or talk to your like ignorant friends, etc. It's like, to be ignorant, to still be ignorant. To me, it means you've just been sitting there with your like fingers in your ears, eyes closed. Because it's, I don't know, I just feel like it's impossible. Not impossible, because I can understand that if you're older, for example, you might not be on social media, etc. If you get all your news from flipping, I don't know, the Times, the Sun, places like that, yeah, then I can understand why you might have a skewed view and stuff. But I don't know, I'm just like, the onus is on them to change it. And they've shown time and time again that they either can't change it or they're unwilling to change it. It's more likely the latter, like they're unwilling to change it.
See, only issue I have with saying like the onus is on them is kind of feels to me like white saviorism again. So that's the one thing I have. Like, it was like, there was that post where it was like, so there was some Banksy post. I don't know if you saw that Banksy post.
Oh, no, yeah, bro, that guy.
Where he was like, you know,
bro, wait,
like, people can't do this alone. We need to be out in the streets supporting them, etc., etc. And it was kind of like, I mean, initially I saw it, I was like, I mean,
I liked it, but then after I liked it, I was like, nah, man, this guy's shit.
You know, when you deep it, that is again white saviorism. Like, it's putting yourself at the forefront of a racial equality movement, that you don't have the right to lead. So
I don't think we need them to lead it, because, bruv, they can't. Like, they don't know what they do. They've shown it time and time again, bruv. They're flipping. I saw it more from European influencers or whatever. Them painting blackface, like, to show solidarity.
Oh, that's just
like,
stupidity.
bruv, clearly these people are not. They're not with it. Like, they don't know what they're doing. So,
that's
so what they need is to humble themselves. Bruv, when I went on a rant on flipping Instagram stories like a couple of weeks back, because I was just getting vexed with all the fucking squares and the black squares and the you know what actually tipped me over the edge? It was the people sort of saying stuff like, oh, we're all in this together, like, let's not fight each other, kind of thing. It's like, nah, bro, if you do dumb shit like paint yourself in blackface, then we are all within our rights to criticize. Who are you to think you're above criticism because you mean well? In what walk of life has it ever been, oh, I didn't mean it, so it's cool? You can't go to a flipping court and be like, yeah, you know, I didn't mean it. You're like, I had good intentions, so, you know, let me off, kind of thing. That's not how life works, bro. Like, you should be open to criticism. So once that's then I was like,
bro, my thing with like, oh, the I had good intentions thing as well, yeah, is if you do have good intentions, then you would be open to criticism.
Exactly.
Because, like, to be intentionally fighting for something is to say, like, if you did something wrong, like, if you're saying that doing something wrong and getting, like, pushback on it makes you not want to, like,
do it anymore. Oh man,
then the cause is you're not fighting for the
deserve it anymore now.
You're not fighting for the cause, innit? It's a very individualistic.
That's why
you're fighting for self validation. You didn't get it, so now you're back out. So, like, let's just, like, admit that if,
and that's my thing, because it's like, bro, if that's gonna be you, just keep it real, bro. We get it. If you don't care about black people, bare people don't care. We've already established that. So, but don't paint yourself as, oh man, like, I'm an anti-racist, blah blah blah. I just wish they would be nicer to me while I'm doing it. Fuck off, bro. Why should we have to be nicer to you? Like, what do you mean? And where does it say that everybody in the movement has to be best friends? Bruv, if I see another post of flipping, I saw a pinky swear, like a black hand and a white hand, pinky swear. They said love will beat hate, or whatever the flipping,
bro, so much.
The Desmond Tutu quote about love driving out hate, racism, all that shit. I said, what? So you're suggesting we pinky swear our way out of this thing?
Bro, so much, like. And there was the things that you see around, like, oh yeah, like the white and the black kid running towards each other, and it's like racism is
you know what's
like,
the worst,
not inherent. It's like that's not actually true.
Sorry to interrupt. The worst was the cops kneeling and all that stuff, especially when they had the video of the New York precinct. They knelt the day before, and the next day they boxed some old man who was in their way. He wasn't even doing anything. He just happened to be in their way, but obviously he's old, so he's slow. And they shoved him to the ground, and, like, he was bleeding out his head and stuff. And I'm like,
I saw that, yeah.
Yet they'll be like, oh, you know, there's some good cops. And it's like, bruv, you're distracting, because the point is not about the individual police officers. It's about the system. If the system allows for 260 unarmed black people to be killed in 1 year, then the system is flawed. Regardless of, and if you're going to say that the reason 260 unarmed black people were killed is because there are 260 bad cops, then the system is flawed. If 260 bad cops could just get into your system, bro, that's too many. Like, the
system is corrupt, bro.
But people won't understand. Like, we're not talking about it's the same with this whole, when they say it's not a black versus white thing. Yes, it is. Because when you say it's not a black versus white thing, it's a good versus evil, then it means it's too easy for people to paint themselves as good. Because
Actually, that makes it, the other issue with it is it makes it like people like, oh, I'm good then, so I'm not racist. I'm good. Exactly. But, like,
that's the thing. This whole distinction between racist, non-racist, and anti-racist, bro. If you are a non-racist, you are a racist, because you're not helping to stop the thing. So you are complicit. Therefore, you are racist. So why do you need to distinguish and be like, oh, you know, all this time I've been a non-racist, but now I have to be an anti-racist? No, bro. All this time you've been a racist. Now you're deep in it. Please stop being a racist. Be anti-racist. Like, bro, it's so mad. Like, it's similar to the whole when women say men are trash, yeah, I say, yeah, we are trash. Men are trash because, like, even if you personally haven't, done anything, mistreated a woman or whatever, like, we're all complicit in this system.
It's the system put in place by
So,
men.
so what we have to recognize that we are all trash in order to fix it. If we start thinking, but I'm one of the good guys, then you're gonna amass enough people that think they're one of the good guys, because you don't need to ask other people whether you're one of the good guys. You just have to think to yourself like, oh, I'm one of the good guys, so I'm cool. And then nothing gets done. It's the exact same thing. Like, bro, I'm getting heated, man.
I agree with you, though. I do agree with you. It's like, yeah. So, I mean, all of that's been playing out recently. But yeah, no, I did see the onus. I don't want to put the onus on white people. I do get what people are saying. Like, white people they're in the positions of power. They need to change it. I get that. But at the same time, something doesn't sit right with me with saying, like, the onus is on them. Like, because I don't think they know what to do. And I don't want it to be another situation of like white saviorism, which it could become.
I've got a good example. So that thing I was talking about with my school. So my sister's school did a similar thing, but they wrote a letter specifically to their school, and there was a white girl. I think she's upper sixth now, so she's 18, and she got a bunch of people together in the school to write a letter. Meanwhile, my sister was already in touch with like a bunch of the black, black alumni from the school. So they were in the process of writing the letter. Yeah. Then this girl writes her letter, gets a bunch of signatures from like her friends and people at the school, whatever, and drops it on Facebook and sends it to the school or whatever. And it gets like reshared, everything, blah, blah, blah. Then obviously all the black alumni are like, we should probably tell her to take it down because we were in the process of writing our letter. And on the surface, that sounds like, does it matter who wrote the letter? Like, as long as the letter gets written, blah, blah, blah. But number one, it shouldn't be a white person's voice that's being elevated. It's her voice since she's the one that wrote the letter. So it's the white person's voice on the matter that's being elevated. Number two, her letter was shit. I didn't read it myself, and actually, no, I shouldn't say that because I haven't read it and my sister didn't use those words. But from her actions, I'm guessing the letter was shit. It didn't help with anything. Like, one of them all lives matter flipping letters. Like, we believe that racism is bad and we need to drive it out. But how? How are we going to do that? How is it manifested in the school? Well, I don't know because like I don't experience it. So then shut up. Stop talking. If you don't experience it, okay, we get it. The sentiment, the solidarity, everything. But why is your voice the loudest right now? So then my sister contacts the girl and says, we're in the process of writing ours. We've got some specific requests for the school. We kind of want to hold them to account, etc. Could you take it down? The girl's like arguing with her, kind of like, nah, listen, it's already been shared, but all this stuff, yeah. Next thing, my sister has to go on Zoom with the girl. Bear in mind, she's never met her because my sister left the school 5 years ago. So she's never met the girl. And the girls were 18, so she's born in 02. So already from that, I'm like, because, bruv, 2000 born plus, yeah, they're already tapped, bruv. Like, I've got a brother that was born in that year. You know how they are. So you just don't know, innit? And it's not your fault. It's not your fault. You mean well, all right? Like, you mean well, but it's not your fault. But you're in the way, basically. My sister had to go on Zoom with the girl for half an hour. And this is what I mean about, like, they're trying to help, yet you've got a black woman here doing essentially, again, racial consulting with you for half an hour for free because you won't flipping delete your post and let them put their letter up, which is a specific letter with a black voice in it as well. So then are you really an ally, or you're doing it for your ego, or you're doing it to get praise or to show that, I'm not one of the bad ones? Bruv, you are just as bad because you're in the way of the movement. You know what I mean? Like, and that's it, bruv. It's like, there's too many, I feel like and this is not even specific to racism or anything. I just feel like people's egos and sense of entitlement is too, like, people don't understand that something might not be about you. So just get out of the way.
Yeah. Like, it's not essentially get out of the way. It's more, okay, from my perspective, it's more fall back. Like propel the issue forward, isn't it? Like, I'm happy for you to be there supporting the cause,
Mm.
but you're not leading this cause. Isn't your like? It's not your voice that needs to be heard right now.
Yeah.
Like, this is essentially a Black matter. We need to be the people who are the spokespeople on this issue, because like we understand this issue, and it's not the same as saying like if you're not Black you shouldn't be involved. Yes, you should be involved. Everyone who believes in like a like fair, just society should be involved, but it's not your issue to lead. Like, just like fall back, take a supporting role, and just propel it forward. That's what you need to do in this situation.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So that's my that was my thing.
What I was saying about, I don't think it's white saviorism, because the reason I said the onus is on them is because they have the power to change it.
So maybe a decision needs to be made by someone with the. But I'm saying like even then I don't know if that's onus, right? Because like.
No, I think it is.
If we're essentially gonna force the hand, like the whatever the thing is gonna, like, if it's a law, if it's, I don't know, a reform bill that gets passed or whatever, it might be signed by someone white, but like it's not that person who has brought the change around.
I guess we're debating semantics, because I'm like, for me, I'm like, the onus is on them, because if they are the ones that have to be signing the bill, like for example, if you want economic racial equality, you need all the people at the top of the economic system, so all the CEOs of the FTSE 100 companies or whatever. Which, but imagine I found out, I don't know if it's true, I saw it on Twitter. Apparently, there are more white men named Steve that are CEOs of FTSE 100 companies than there are people of color in the. But anyway,
Steve isn't even the most stereotypical white name. What's going on?
But my thing is, if we need them to make the change for it to happen, because we can buy Black as much as we want, all that stuff, but we don't have the power to change it because we've been pushed down for so long. Basically, like if we look at like specifically America, the racial inequality is so inherent in the system, because when the system was devised, it was like designed to keep Black people down. That's why you have like red line and things like that. It was designed that way. So, and that was what, over 200 years ago or something like that. So if that system is still there, it's either we revamp the system completely, like we kick them out and have a new system or something like that. I don't know if that's possible, because the numbers wouldn't suggest that we could do it. You get me? Like to just oust them.
Well, some people have that point of view. Some people will have that point of view.
Yeah, I don't think that'll happen, because if we look at here, we're still 3 to 4% of the country. So even if you get every Black person on the same page, which is another thing we touched on, because Black people aren't on the same page because we're not a monolith. So how can we be on the same page? There's no movement where everybody's on the same page anyway. But I'm saying, if you, in some miracle world, could have every Black person on the same page, singing from the same hymn sheet, with the same objectives and the same methodology for going about it, we're still only 4%. So, what? Like, how are we gonna fix it? Like, it needs to come from the top almost. I don't know about come from the top, but it needs to, like, the change needs to come from them. You get it? Like, we can push for progression and stuff so that it's easier to live in the West as a Black person, but it doesn't mean that it's going to solve racism or solve the issues, solve racial inequality. Racism will still be there.
So what if they're not willing to make that change? Then what do you do?
So
then you've exhausted your options from your point of view, no?
That's why I'm very pessimistic. Nah, to be honest, so I saw on Twitter, Carla, someone tweeted him and said, "When's this shit gonna end?" This was like not long after George Floyd was killed. They sent him the videos and when's this shit gonna end? And he said, I wrote it down. It's on my laptop as well. I wrote it down, but it was something along the lines of, when Africa is militarily strong enough and economically prosperous enough to protect its or to what's the word? Like protect its descendants, so the people in the diaspora, in the sense of I think of it similar to how in the US is like strong, etc. To the extent that that woman that came and knocked over that guy on his bike here didn't even get extradited for like others, etc. Like she gets protected.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
And it's essentially the way I see it. We live in we're living in Babylon, innit? And we can't, you can't, like, regardless of the fact that we've managed to build out this sort of Black British culture, or like if in our specific case we've managed to build out Black British culture, we've managed to build out Black spaces in this country, etc. The country is always going to be a white country, unless something drastically changes. I think it's like what, 80% white,
84%.
The whole country. So even though London is more of a mix, etc., the whole country is majority white. So it will, unless we manage to convince them that we deserve equal rights, which I don't think is going to be the case, because bro, they treat us worse than dogs. So I don't think that's going to be the case. It's one where I feel like us in the diaspora have to take a more active interest in Africa, not on that stupid thing of going back and building up Africa and we're going to build a Wakanda and all that shit. That's dumb as fuck. Like some of the dumbest shit I've ever heard about building Wakanda in anytime I hear them say anything about, but this is what I mean when people are so fucking corny, bro. Like when Ludacris went to Ghana over Christmas, during the year of return stuff, the Ghanaian president was effectively just handing out citizenship. Like people could come back and become Ghanaian citizens. Which I think is really good. I think it's, encouraging people to take more of an interest in Africa, to come back, etc., whatever you want to call it. Man's doing the Wakanda salute after he's collected his passport and shit. It's like, bro, don't mock the thing. Like, don't mock the thing. Like, stop being so funny for 5 minutes. I beg you, please. Like T.I. when he was telling them not to riot in Atlanta because there's so many Black-owned businesses there, which is a good point. Like, if you're going to protest, if you're going to call it violence or whatever, target it properly. Don't aim it at a Black-owned business that is a small business, because you're just hurting yourself, kind of thing. But then he goes like, yeah, don't do this in Atlanta, man. This is Wakanda. Bro, shut up, man. Everything has to be Wakanda this, Wakanda that. Like, but my point is, the way I see it, yeah, Africa has the youngest population of all the continents for whatever reason. So the youngest population, which means it's got youth, exuberance, energy, whatever you want to call it, yeah. But African countries struggle to keep their young people in the country, in the same way that the only reason I was born and raised in London is because, well, I mean, with my dad it's a different situation, but my mum came here because of the lack of opportunities in Ghana. And a lot of people have the same story, like their parents came over here because there was a lack of opportunities, want to build a better life, etc., etc., etc. And it's one where if we can build the things where it's like, it's more of an appeal to stay in Africa, like effectively imagine if, in a similar way to, if you look at Singapore now, I don't see why somebody born in Singapore would like want to aspire to move to America or the UK. I understand if you go there for like uni or whatever, because American US unis are still quote unquote like prestigious unis, etc. But in terms of living and making a life, etc., the pull from these like Western countries, etc., isn't as big in a country like Singapore.
Singapore has a lot of its own issues, though.
It has its own issues, of course. But and no country
is very imperialistic.
Yeah, no countries without issues. No countries without issues. But I'm saying like, and I'm not saying like Singapore is some Mecca or some haven or whatever, and nor is Singapore the most developed country in the world or whatever. But I'm saying like, if you have it that your country is able to produce opportunities for its people, then the pull to go to the West is not as big. So then it's one where, rather than Africa kind of bleeding out all their young people just leaving to go and build their wealth in other countries, and effectively build up the other countries and build up their economies, etc., with the incentive of sending some back, like the same way our parents came here and they'll send some money back to Ghana or wherever, but they're not building their wealth in that country. It's it's like an endless cycle, because African countries will never be able to develop fully, or never be able to become self-sustainable, like actually self-sustainable, because I would argue they're not self-sustainable right now. If your economic policy includes a section where you budget for Western aid, then how can you call yourself self-sufficient if you rely on Western aid to build your economic policies? Then you're not really self-sufficient. You're always requiring a handout, and the handout that is the what's it called, interest rate on it is crazy. You end up saddled with debt from the World Bank, IMF, etc. So you just end up, in the short term, you're able to develop and do whatever. In the long term, you're saddled with debt, and you're always like in debt to these countries. So you're never you're never free, essentially. So the way I see it, like, we have to take an active interest in Africa, and also have an active interest in investing or going to capitalize on opportunities there, because otherwise you'll have it where, like for example, Kenya, for example, they built like a railway line. The Chinese went and built them a railway line, and they signed on the deal. Basically, it was like, if they default on the loan, which has some crazy interest rate, if they default on the loan, they've given up their sovereignty of their port, which means the Chinese can come and just take over their port. Which is like, it sounds crazy, because how can you give up the sovereignty of the port? And obviously, on the surface, it sounds crazy. Like when you look beneath the surface, it's probably that some Kenyan politicians got paid off to give the port up as collateral for that loan. I'm saying, if we don't take action and invest in Africa, because all these countries and all these, like the Western countries, all the stuff, China, etc., are investing in Africa. So there's clearly opportunity there. Otherwise, why would they be there? If we don't take an active interest in doing that, then we'll always be in a situation where we're basically begging them to treat us nicely over here, when there's not really an incentive for them to do that, because treating us nicely over here means their personal situation will be worse. If you ask for economic equality, that means the people with the higher the economic advantage, need to give up some of what they have to like allow you to lift yourself up, which I don't see that happening on a large scale, because we can't even get them to agree that Black lives even matter in the first place, bro. So how are you going to get them to agree Black lives matter and now agree, okay, so I'm going to give up a little bit of how much I earn so that Black businesses can thrive, etc. I just don't see it happening. So it's one where, like the way I see it, and I know I've been going on for a while, but I just feel like, bro, we've been begging them to treat us nicely for long enough. It's time that we take it into our own hands and just try and fix it. Like, obviously, continue fighting for equality here, because in the here and now, we still live here, we're still dealing with these things. But in the long term, it needs to be one where we don't even have to stay here. Like, we don't even, and then they'll see, like, bro, like, they'll see that they needed us, kind of thing. Like, if it's one where there was a mass exodus and everyone went back to their home nations, and I know that's not going to happen, but imagine if that were the case, yeah, this place would not be able to survive. Like,
I mean, a strong Africa. I agree that we needed a strong Africa. I'm in agreement there. My only thing is, it needs to be the right kind of strength.
Yeah.
Because, like, for example, like, for Singapore, I don't even know that much about Singapore. I just know that they do have some of the same issues that are present here, just manifesting in a slightly different way because it's different populace. But so there's one quote from like a book which is like says like, they ask the question, can a white system evolve without white people? So like at a certain point in time, will the same system be in place but just without white people? Which I think it probably can.
I think it has.
And that's my one thing is like, we need a strong Africa, but in the right way. Yeah. And like, I think there is the elements of that's happening, but like,
I think you're definitely
You
right.
just need to think about how you wanna
Yeah,
achieve
no,
a strong Africa,
no, it's
because
true
just
because
investing in Africa doesn't necessarily mean that
yeah,
like
no, I feel like basically I feel like there needs to be an agreement across the diaspora that, or a recognition that the situation is going to be fucked until we've got a strong, like the motherland and all them places are strong. You know what I mean?
I mean that's the
Then
first step.
how that, yeah, and then
That's the first step.
how that manifests is obviously different because I'm speaking as a second gen immigrant who goes to Ghana twice a year, or has been able to go to Ghana twice a year for the last almost decade. So obviously I'm coming from a different perspective because I can easily, or easier than most, assimilate back into. If I were to move back, I'd be able to assimilate pretty easily. I know I've got family links there, etc. Some people don't have family ties there. Some people don't have land there. Some people haven't ever been there. So to some people, it's just not. It's just another country kind of thing. And that's not even getting onto African Americans who don't even know which country they're originally from, for example.
I mean,
So that
especially
and
with
there's
Caribbean
so much,
stuff,
and
a
it's
lot
like,
of the time.
yeah, do we encourage everyone to go back just to build a new Western society over there? Like, are they going to go back and effectively shit on African society or African culture when they get there? So there needs to be like an assimilation. So I'm not just saying everyone should just rock up and pick up and just jump over there. And I'm not saying that investment there will be the only thing that will fix it either. Especially like even thinking the LGBT community, is probably safer for them to be over here than in Africa because a lot of countries are violently homophobic out there.
So yeah, I mean, there's like a lot of
Like there's issues basically.
neocolonialism. There's a lot of neocolonialism still in Africa. So
Yeah.
like when you say we need a strong Africa, we do, but I'm just saying like there's still work to be done there as well.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it's like an easy task in that, but I feel like it's stuff like, I always bring up the example of oil in Africa because especially like specifically Nigeria, and Ola brought it up when at our event, he was saying how Nigeria's got what, the 8th largest oil reserves in the world. I think it's 8th, might even be bigger than that. But it's not got a Nigerian-owned refinery, or it's now Dangote just built one, I think. But I don't even know if it's finished. But like for all these years, it hasn't had an African-owned refinery, which means they've got the crude oil, but it's not worthless. But it's not, until it's refined, its value is kind of capped. So it needs to be refined. So they always have to partner with a Western oil super major or an American like super major to refine their oil. Then they have to buy back the oil at a premium before they can use it to provide power to their country. Hence why Nigeria has what's it called? What's the word? Inconsistent energy across the grid, etc. Hence why Nigeria's, even though it's got one of the 8th largest, so the 8th largest reserves of one of the world's most valuable natural resources, it's still got I think it was something like almost 50% of people live in poverty, or it's either that or like almost 50% of people are unemployed or something like that. Like it's still got so many issues, and a lot of that is to do with the fact that there's, like you say, neocolonialism in Africa. So it's like, and not only that as well, poor leadership too, to the sense that the leaders have effectively just become the oppressors. So it's like what you were saying about kind of white system exists without white people. Yeah, because the people that were doing the oppressing before were the white people, and now it's just the leaders and the corrupt people that are at the top of the system that are doing the exact same oppressing of the Nigerian population. So it's like, but when I say we need to invest in Africa and stuff, it's like, now I asked my dad because in the Ghanaian context, Ghana's also got a bit of oil, and obviously not as much as Nigeria. And my dad does a lot of work to secure deals so that they what's it called? Securing deals so that there's oil and fuel for the national grid, so that Ghana has electricity, which is something that you need to industrialize, urbanize, etc., and effectively develop as a country. You need a constant electricity production, electricity supply. And I was like, why is it the case that you have to get in bed with these Russian companies or Dutch companies, American companies, etc., to produced this thing, and he said literally there's two things. Like, number one is that to run an oil to run a refinery, you need like minimum $600 million, which would effectively not almost bankrupt Ghana, but like they can't hack $600 million on their own to run it on their own. So there's that, which is partly because they've got to pay back these flipping World Bank debts and IMF debts and all this stuff, all these debts to these countries that have given them aid, which means they don't have the ability to effectively pull themselves out of poverty because they're always having to pay back the money that they borrowed to try and pull themselves out of poverty. So it's an endless cycle. So like I say, you're never free. Then there's that, and also they don't have the expertise. Like they don't, in the country, there's not enough engineers that can run a refinery, not enough Ghanaian engineers that can run a refinery. Hence why when Africa in the last decade has developed a lot of countries have seen a lot of development. Ghana's definitely has, Kenya, other countries have seen a lot of development. It's because they've had to take loans from the Chinese, and China just come and import all their workers and they build everything for them. Like I saw this video about that, the train I was talking about in Kenya. Bruv, the Kenyan people working on the train are speaking Chinese to the Kenyan passengers. It doesn't make any sense. Why are they speaking Chinese? Like, why are you coming on the train and saying ni hao when it's a Kenyan train? Like, the Chinese have built it, cool, but it's a Kenyan train, Kenyan passengers, Kenyan driver, yet you're speaking Chinese. It doesn't make sense. So it's like, when I see stuff like that, it's like, that's why when I say we need to invest, it's like, we need to we need to do something to break this cycle of neo-colonialism in the continent, because it's like, if we don't, it will never be a case where these countries are able to pull themselves out of the situations they're in. And it will never be the case that the general perception of Africa will be one of it being a charity case. The general like African young people won't be staying in the country to build their wealth and etc. And it's like, it's one where we'll always have this reliance on like, I feel like the reason we're in this situation anyway of protesting racism etc. is because we rely on the system, because we all live here, we all work here, we all etc. build our lives here. So it's like we rely on them, so we need the system to work for us to an extent so that we can have a comfortable life etc. But the point is, the system was never designed to work for us. So it's not like, we shouldn't be shocked when the system does this. Like when I found out recently that the police force used to be like the slave patrol in the US, then it's not a surprise that they're still killing black people, bro. It was built to catch black people that were free slaves, people that had won their freedom. It was built to catch them and throw them back in the dungeons or wherever it was, or back on the plantations and stuff. So it's like, if the system was never designed to help you or to fix it, like, I don't know, I just feel like sometimes you have to get real and be like, we have to.
I mean, I agree. I'm just saying I don't want that same system to be implemented in Africa, which it definitely, there's a like possibility of that happening if you just
it's true.
Just have to think about how you're investing or how. But I agree that a strong Africa is necessary. I think I'm on the same lines as you.
Yeah.
Just how to get that
done
without just putting in place a same system.
Or exacerbating inequality, because a lot of these countries have a lot of inequality already. So come in, like, it's likely if someone from the West goes back to Africa, you're likely going to be living at least upper middle class. But you're not going to be going back and being a houseboy or something like that. So there's that too. So that's what I mean about being jaded, bro. It's just better to think about, and then by the time you're done, you're just like,
it's better to think about. It's a lot to think about.
We've been talking for an hour and we still haven't got anywhere. Not that we were like tasked with solving racism, but like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, my JJ Wagan,
Did you see the J. Cole and No Name thing?
I just saw that today. Not gonna lie, I haven't listened to the song yet. I just saw Code doing dumb stuff again.
To be fair to him, yeah, I'm gonna get in my Cole stan bag for a little bit. Cole stan. Well, he was my most listened to artist last decade, but still. he does admit at the start of the song that people have, I guess, mistaken him for an intelligent person, which is it's nice to be.
Bro,
That shows self-awareness to know that you're an idiot and to admit it. And actually, now, an idiot's a bit strong, but basically, he's kind of like almost like lamenting the position he's been put in. Like, for example, I saw that, you know, Imperial has a hip hop society now. I don't know if you know, but they posted the song and they put like Cole speaks as the caption, like to say like we've been waiting for Cole to sit for the issue. And to be fair, I do fall into that sometimes where I'm like, oh man, I wonder what Kendrick's gonna say on this. I wonder what Cole's gonna say on this, etc. But both of them, Kendrick and Cole, I don't know why I'm bringing Kendrick into this, but I always do anyway. Both of them have admitted they're not very well read and stuff. So it's like, bro, and even on his, after he dropped the song and saw the criticism, he did a series of tweets like addressing the situation. And he said like, a person like me, a nigga like me is, I just rap kind of thing. And it's like, yeah, he thinks deeply about stuff and he raps about it. But just because you think deeply and you know, can put bars together doesn't mean you know what you're talking about.
I'm just trying to look at the lyrics of this song now because I haven't actually listened to it. I just saw that it was like.
Shall I play it now? Or it's playing already?
All about my college degree.
Yeah, yeah, my GG wagon, yeah.
Bro,
talking about me.
I don't need to hear this song. I'm looking at the lyrics. It's such a dumb song. It's such a dumb song. I'm looking at the lyrics.
Number one, yeah.
That just basically came through. He's the same points that we're making about ego. This is just that.
That's my thing.
It's exactly that.
And I don't know if you saw the background yet, but basically, No Name tweeted, and I thought the tweet was like the day before the song or something, but the tweet was from like 2 weeks ago. So now I'm confused because I'm like, why did he even think that the tweet was about him? But because I don't think the tweet was about him. Like Cole's been protesting and stuff since like 2014 times. Like he's been doing it before it was like cool or like a hashtag on Instagram, etc. Like, so I don't know why he. One of them things where it's like if the shoe fits, like I don't think the shoe fit him, but he just put it on. And
I mean, he took offense in it. It's like
but and I was just like, all right, I understand what he
maybe
said.
that means he should be offended because like they say if the shoe fits, then wear it.
Yeah,
so
I don't know. I understand. I'm trying to understand his perspective here, and I understand that like.
I've always had some issues with Cole's wokeness, but yeah.
Yeah, you can't even.
But it's I don't think that he's against, like, I think his heart is in the right place. I just sometimes feel like,
you know what, yeah, I feel like we should stop this whole heart in the right place thing. I feel like that shouldn't even be a phrase. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if your intentions were good, bro. Like,
I'm not talking about this song specifically. I'm talking about.
I know in general, but like I'm talking in general. I don't like hearing the phrase "I didn't mean it" because it doesn't. When did I accuse you of meaning it? When did I think you were maliciously trying to hurt me or something? That doesn't, like, you. What we're talking about is what you did. What you did hurt the cause or whatever it is. So we don't care if you meant well. You know what I mean?
I don't even know if he meant well. This just sounds like someone who was like angry that someone had the like audacity to say that he doesn't know enough. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
You know what it is, yeah? I think, because No Name didn't say that. She didn't say he doesn't know what he's talking about. He was the one that said he doesn't know what he's talking about. No Name said that he, if it was even about him, was basically saying like, your favorite artist's whole discography is about black struggle, black trauma, but he's not even, you can't even put a tweet up. He's not on the streets with you lot, etc. So she basically said like poor people are on the streets protesting, etc. And your favorite artist can't even put a tweet up. And I feel like, on the one hand, I feel like a statement like that places too much emphasis or too much importance on social media activism, which I don't think is as effective as people think. Because, I feel like it's not as, I don't think it's that effective, social media activism. Especially because social media is like an echo chamber. Like, for example, these people like compelling their friends to put a post up, yeah? If I put a post up, which I did put stuff up anyway, but I'm like, if I put it up, yeah, I've got what? The average person has like, what, 500 followers? I've got like 500-600 followers. And the majority of them, I've met them, like they're my friends. And I'm not friends with racists. So if I'm putting a post up, I'm preaching to the choir. Like, they all, and I don't think it's the same comparison with someone like Cole or Kendrick because they've got millions of followers, and so it's not quite an echo chamber. But I feel like people in general overstate the importance or the impact of social media activism. So like compelling someone to tweet or to, you know, put an Instagram post up or to post a black square, etc. I'm like, yeah, it's nice that they're showing solidarity and everything, but I don't feel like it does anything. And I feel like No Name also knows that it doesn't do anything, because why would she have a book club if she could just get away with just putting up a few tweets, etc.? Like, she knows that it's going to take more than just a few tweets, etc. So I feel like her initial tweet about people not being out there fighting for the cause, like celebrities not being out there fighting for the cause, I feel like it came from a place of like anger at the fact that people aren't doing enough, which I understand. And I don't think Cole should have gone down the route of like trying to police her tone.
That was just the line. That was like, her tone's bothering me. I was like, all right, I'm out, man.
And trying to say she should treat us like kids. Bro, you're 35 years old.
You're not a kid, bro. You're not a kid. You're like 30, mid-30s.
He's got children of his own, bro. Like,
be saying you need to treat me like a kid.
And like, again, I feel like people have kind of blown it out of proportion because they kind of just wanted a rap beef so that they can have some entertainment, because people were just bored or wanted a distraction from the whole thing, but because I don't think No Name, like, I feel like people have blown it out of proportion because I don't think, like, in the first place, I don't think the tweet was originally to Cole anyway. On the other hand, like, people have now been trying to throw Cole on, they're calling him a misogynist, etc. And like, whether or not he's a misogynist, I feel like is inconsequential to this thing anyway, because like, bruv, there's bare rap lyrics that are misogynistic and you're cool with all of them. So like, if we're going to start pointing fingers at Cole, then we have to just talk about rap as a whole thing, like talk about misogyny and hip-hop as a whole thing, not just like calling out Cole for being a misogynist because he tried to police No Name's tone in this case. Like, I just feel like the whole thing had descended into talking about the specific celebrities involved rather than talking about the cause, and it just was a distraction, which I don't think was helpful. And I think it's Cole's fault, because if he hadn't sent the song, like, he could have just called her and been like, yo, I don't like your tone, and then they could have just hashed it out.
Yeah.
Like, you could have recorded a 4-minute song to call her out when there's so many other things you could talk about right now.
You know, I would have been fine with the song if the song was just about like, oh, I just realized like I don't know enough and I need to learn more. But like, to put it on her as like, now you need to teach, now you need to like speak to me with respect and teach me into learning more, rather than like saying what you said. It's just a bit like, again, we're back on this thing of, now I need to like spoon feed you.
Yeah.
Because you don't know, then you need to learn. No, it's not about.
The thing is, as well, No Name does spoon feed people. She's got a book club. You don't have to come and deliver the book to your front door or what? You can sign up to the book club, you can read, and then you can get involved in the conversations, and you will learn. So what more do you want her to do? Like, so even that's why, another reason why I think the whole thing's like, it's just a distraction, because it's like, whatever criticisms he has of No Name and her approach, I don't think they even apply to No Name. Because she has a flipping book club that she spends more time on her book club than she does on making albums. So like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like,
bro, I'm reading all these like comments on Rap Genius on this post.
What are they saying? Oh, they're all Cole fans, isn't it?
Yeah, they're just like loads of Cole fans.
To be fair, I have seen some people talk about No Name's being a hypocrite because she's cussing Cole for like basically mentioning her in the song and distracting from it by putting out a song which also distracts from it. Because which I hear that to an extent, but the guy sent for her for no reason, so she could send.
Yeah, and like sent for her dumbly as well. Like, yeah. I'm gonna respond.
You didn't even give it a minute and a half, bro. It was like a minute and 10 seconds or something like that. Like. But I do think there is something to be said about the approach, because like, obviously this is just playing out like a general thing where people always have a disagreement on the approach of the best approach to I guess like liberation, whatever you want to call it, the best way to fight oppression. Yeah. And I think Cole kind of interprets it as No Name's tone is welcoming or accepting or whatever to people that already understand, already get it to an extent. But someone that doesn't get it, you need to change your tone so that they can get it. But
Nah, that's bullshit. That's bullshit because like Cole is already supposedly the converted, right? Like he wants assist. He wants like black people to be free. He wants systemic change. So like it goes back to my point of why do you need your ego to be massaged for you to do what's right? Like why do you need someone to tell you nicely for you to do the right thing? It's like same way. I was having a conversation like just today. Like same way. It's like if you do something wrong, yeah, there are so many people like, okay, I might have done something wrong, but the way you responded to me doing something wrong made me feel bad. Like I didn't like the way you could have responded in a nicer way. If you did something wrong, then why? Who are you to then put demands of like how people respond to you or poorly?
But then, that's true, but I feel like it's human nature to an extent. Like a lot of the time, my dad always tells me it's a lot of the time it's the way you say it, not what you say. Like people won't listen if you don't deliver the message in a certain way. And even though like, you know, but even though that's stupid because bruv, if I'm saying facts, I'm saying facts. If I shouted the facts at you or if I whispered at you, it's still facts. Like I'm saying the same thing. Get over yourself and just understand the facts. But like, I feel like it's just, this is what I was saying before, like people are too egotistical, too entitled and stuff. They feel like things have to be, there's so much of an importance.
You have to speak to them nicely. Like
yeah,
that's
there's
the
so
thing.
much of an importance on that. And the fact is like, it's unfortunate that that's the case, but it is the case. So
no, I think that there's two things, right? If we're talking about delivering a message, there are people who are good at public speaking and there are people who aren't, right? Yes, there is a way to deliver a message in a forceful tone that gets people speaking. That I completely agree with that. But if you're saying that like now I have to worry about like your feelings when you've done something wrong, otherwise I'm gonna lose you to a just cause, then go in it. Like we don't need you for the just cause because it's like same thing. I mean, everyone makes mistakes. Like I could also do something that like I realized afterwards I fucked up and people are mad at me for like, but at some point I have to be like, okay, then I have actually done something wrong, or I've like, let me change, let me try and improve, let me see where I went wrong, rather than to just come back and be like, hey, no, you actually needed to tell me that I did something wrong in a nicer way. There's no obligation on you to tell me that I did something wrong in a nicer way. It's up to me to face the consequences of me doing something wrong, like, and change. If you're getting turned up at like, if like, for you to get like, put down on something means that you're gone, that you're going to turn away from it, then you didn't really have the motivation to like
do it in the first place.
Do it anyway, because we've all been in situations where like we've like faced adversity, or like we faced like a situation where we made a mistake, right? And if you're motivated, you'll try and learn from your mistake, right? You'll try and fix that. I mean, that's my point of view. So like,
no, I agree. But I don't know, like, I'm not saying that he's right in what he's saying. I'm just saying that, again, it kind of depends on what, and I don't think this applies to No Name anyway, because I feel like she does flipping spoon feed people the information anyway. But it's like, what's your incentive for the message that you're putting out? Because it's like, if, for example, in this point, in this situation, it's like, you're trying to convince white people that Black Lives Matter, screaming it at them clearly doesn't work, because that's what we've been doing forever. So it's like, it's unfortunate that
I mean,
I don't know. It's like it's unfortunate. The way I see it, it's like, it's unfortunate that these people are so stupid that they can't understand the simple concept that Black Lives Matter. When they say all lives matter, how can all lives matter? Like, you're saying the same thing. How can all lives matter when Black lives don't? But if they're so dumb that they can't get that, just shouting it at them or whatever is not going to work. Like, you have to literally like hold their hand, and it's like you see all these flipping posts about how to talk to your ignorant family about XYZ, blah blah blah. Like, that shouldn't be necessary. You shouldn't need an Instagram post to guide you on how to like, they shouldn't require people following like an Instagram guide, or you know, they might get offended, so I have to deliver it in this tone, blah blah blah, etc. Like, but unfortunately, like, people are stupid, so sometimes you do have to like hold people's hand through it. But I feel like No Name already does that because she's got her book club, etc. So she's already holding people's hand through it.
Stupidity is something different to, yeah, no, it's true, but stupidity is something different to what we're talking about here, because here we're mainly talking about ego, because like, this is a situation where you have people who like are already motivated towards a cause, yeah? So now I have to like treat them with like kid gloves to get them to,
Yeah, that's different.
even I mean, to an extent, like, fair enough, if you take it upon yourself to teach, then like, praises to you. That's definitely like a valiant thing to do.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it does have an impact in some cases. But like, I mean, there are some people who like just don't want to learn, or who don't want to be taught. Like, I don't know, I've tried to teach people before, and I just like,
bro,
sometimes it's so frustrating. So
it's like that book, Why I Don't Speak to White People About Race, bro. I don't speak to white people at all, like, because I'm like, fam, I'm just tired. Like, there's no, I could chat to you about football and the weather and that, but other than that, bro.
but this is the thing, innit? If your intentions are in the right place, like, the essential, like, metaphorically, what happened was a slap on the wrist.
Yeah.
And now you like are gonna make a whole song about it.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man. Come on.
Nah, it's true. It's true. And not only that as well, there needs to be.
And you also put out the message now that, like, now you're saying like, oh, if people, to everyone who's like a J. Cole fan, it's like, oh, I'm only gonna entertain these conversations if people talk to me nicely about them and take the time to educate me. And a lot of J. Cole's fans are not black. Like, a lot of his fans are black, but like a lot of them are also not black. So that's just a, like, in my mind, like, a slightly damaging message to be putting out.
No, it definitely is. Cole's definitely wrong. Definitely wrong. But
this whole thing
I was trying to give him a lifeline, man. I can't even find one, bro. Like, he's wrong, man. He's wrong.
Anyway,
and Cole. I really hope he didn't put the song out because he felt compelled to speak. Because it's like, sometimes you can be quiet, man. Sometimes people can just be quiet.
You didn't need to speak.
This is what I like. Anyway, what was it? I need to bounce in a little bit, but I want to ask you actually, what is there a different kind of perspective coming from it as a mixed race person?
No, not really. I mean, no.
Okay. I didn't know it.
Yeah, no, I don't think there is. I mean, the only place where it could crop up is if it's like a situation of, because to be honest, no, there's not, bro. There's really not. There's actually not.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the situation where it would be, but nah, there's not.
I don't know where I was going with the question. I kind of thought that I don't know. I see all these posts, like a bit like Logic and stuff, talking about how they don't feel accepted by the black community, etc. But I feel like for the majority of black people, they consider mixed race people black because mixed race people are black. So
I think Logic, it doesn't look black.
Yeah, Logic is a specific case because he's white passing, so people wouldn't know if he's got a black. I think his dad's black. but people
So
wouldn't know if a black.
maybe if like my family were like very ignorant about these issues, then I would have slight more difficulties because then it's like I have to like convert my own family, or like I have to like, I'm posting about stuff and I wouldn't have the like support of my like family. I have to hide my views from my family. Yeah, I guess there could be stuff around it. It's just not stuff that I've felt personally. Yeah.
To be fair, because I think I saw it on Twitter. There was one mixed race girl, I think it was, that her family didn't understand the whole distinction between All Lives Matter and Black Lives Matter, so she had to explain that to them. But I feel like those instances will probably be few and far between. Well, I don't know, because there's probably a lot of to be fair, there's probably a lot of mixed race people who've got like black and white mixed race, or even black and anything mixed race, who've got racist family. But
I probably have a racist family. I just don't like speak to them.
No, I hear that. Fair, man.
I don't know. There's probably more. I mean, we could deep dive more into like that topic, but I mean, at an Uber level, no, there's not really any different perspective on it. Yeah, there's not.
Did we talk about allies?
No, I don't know. We didn't.
Oh yeah, allies, bruv. Fuck allies, man. I don't like that. I don't like it. Like, and people will be like, oh, he's been cynical, he's been a prick or whatever. But the way I see it, my problem with this whole ally thing, firstly, why do we even have to have a name or whatever to like?
Yeah.
What's the word? Designate or whatever to say, oh, you're with us.
Ally, yeah.
Like, oh wow, you believe black people deserve human rights. Let's give you an ally badge. Like, there's that. Then so that kind of plays into this whole thing of like, oh, I'm good or I'm not good or whatever. Like the whole
it's the good bad binary.
Call it like when people are able to in their heads group themselves with the cause without doing anything, because to label yourself an ally just means you say, oh yeah, I'm an ally. I put up a black square. Like no one's gonna like interrogate you deeply to figure out if you are an ally or not. You know what I mean? Like even flipping, I saw one girl, a white girl at the march who said, "Stop shooting all the black guys. We want mixed race babies." You're not an ally.
I mean, there's a few comments like that were just like complete stupidity, like
dumb. And to be fair, I've seen it on both sides because I've seen enough, bro. When I tell you black men are the weakest link, and it makes me so sad, bro. I'm seeing one guy say, why do you guys hate us so much? Your daughters love us, bro. You're fetishizing yourself.
Your daughters love every inch of us. That was the one.
Oh,
which is there's so many issues there.
Like, that, oh man, you're such a joker, blah blah blah, bro. It makes me go mad. I'm like, fam, you're literally fetishizing yourself as a joke in the middle of a protest. Like, why? I don't get. Even, bro, I even had an issue with people that like make their posters and stuff at the protests have like some sort of humor to them. Maybe I'm just too cynical and stuff. I'm like, fam, it's something funny right now. Like, why are we making jokes? Like, why are we trying to make it, I got a zinger on this one, man. This one's definitely going to hit at the protest. People are going to mud me as I walk past. Fuck off, man. Like,
yeah.
Man, I don't know.
Yeah, I also agree, actually. I don't think there should be a term of being an ally or not. Like, I don't understand it, man. Just support the cause, innit? Like,
and don't. The thing about the ally thing, I feel like, firstly,
it's ego again.
And that's my problem, because I feel like in too many occasions, it's whatever the ally does gets highlighted. So, a white person speaking to their white family about racism will get recorded and put on Instagram and get shared and everything, blah, blah, blah. And I understand that, you could share it to kind of show other white people, here's how you do it. Here's how you speak to your racist uncle or whatever, blah, 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 yeah. But, bruv, we've been having these conversations forever. I can't tell you the number of people I've spoken to about racism it's only now clicking. And it's like, I wouldn't even record it and want it to be shared or anything, but it's like, bro, like, why is it that when they do the bare minimum, it's heralded as like an amazing feat when people have been literally doing this stuff for years? Like, black people have been doing this stuff for years, and it goes unnoticed. Like, even this protest, this like round of protests almost, I see people saying, like, people that went to the ones in 2014 or 15, I think it was, for Mike Brown, saying like, you know, it's very similar to that, but like there are a lot more white people this time, etc. And it's almost like the people are like, oh, these ones are different kind of thing, yeah. And you can say it's different because there's been more protests and stuff and more, what's the word, impact on social media. But is it just different because more white people are clocking in? Is it like now we're seeing white people paying attention to something that they should have? Like, basically, I don't feel like you should get a pat on the back for finally paying attention.
Yeah.
I don't feel like that at all. I remember when I was working at Felix, they did a diversity something or other, yeah. And they asked me to be on the panel. Bear in mind, I've done no official work for diversity or racial equality or anything, yeah. I was just on the panel because I'm black, yeah. And I asked her because everybody on the panel had done something, written something, was in some sort of position for whatever the equality was, whether it be LGBT or for women or whatever. And I guess they just ran out, they had no black people. So I was like, oh, why am I on this panel? And she's like, oh, you know, you just do so much work for equality. I was like, do I really? Like, so firstly, that's a problem, bro. You guys just had to find the quickest, like, white, black colleagues so that you can have them on the panel. Now I'm on a panel with people that know a lot more than I do. I read the stuff and I've got an interest in it. So I read and I think about this stuff a lot, like, by virtue of being black and living through it. So I read about it and I take an interest in it. Cool. So, and I probably take more of an interest than a lot of people, but I haven't written any essays on it. I haven't, like, these people have all done work basically. Yeah. I remember they're passing the mic round, and it gets to me. I'm like, well, how do I even follow this up? So I said, you know, listen, I'm all for racial equality and all this stuff. Yeah, I just waffled and then hand over the mic. Cool. Then one woman on the panel who's done bare work about she's a physicist at Imperial. She's doing a PhD or something, and she goes on Wikipedia and like edits the pages of like old papers and puts in the black people that like helped to write it. Yeah, she got a lot of, no, not the black people, the women. So black people and women that helped to write it. So she gets a lot of praise and stuff and a lot of like publicity from that. Yeah, and she talked about how her dad watched When They See Us and cried at the end and said, like, you know, it's kind of changed his perspective. And they were talking about like what should allies do, and she was like, oh, you know, have the conversations at home, blah 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 blah. Yeah. And I'm thinking, am I meant to sit here and clap for you because your dad, who was clearly a racist before, watched When They See Us?
Still probably a racist, by the way.
Still probably is. Watched When They See Us. Was like, oh wow, is this what black people go through? And we're all meant to come and like flipping praise you for being the best ally, or I don't get it. Like, I don't see why that is something that deserves applaud. We shouldn't be clapping for people for having the basic sense of understanding that people deserve human rights. Why should that be applauded?
You know what you need to, you know what I feel like people need to ask themselves? We need to ask themselves, like ask ourselves to an extent, I guess, is like, why are you doing this? Like, if you're just doing it to make yourself feel good, you just have to, you just have to understand what is the base reason. Like, is the reason you're doing this to make yourself feel good? Because that shouldn't be the reason. You should be doing it because it's the right thing to do.
If that's the case, do it. Go and make yourself feel better in a different way, man. Go feed a homeless person or something, bro. Fucking prick.
Like, it's a tough one because...
And then people will look at me and say I'm being a prick for cussing them, etc. They deserve to be cussed, bro. Why, if you're doing this just for praise? Like, I saw someone say, this was part of my rant, they were like, basically saying, you know, everybody's coming from a different starting point. Everybody doesn't have the same information. Everybody's, you know, doing their bit, blah, 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 etc. Cool. Then I messaged her and I said, nah, man, this ain't it. Like, and she's got like 10, 12K followers or something. I said, nah, this ain't it, because there needs to be room for critique of the methods. Otherwise, you're going to end up with what happened with the Blackout Tuesday, which I think was a fiasco, bro. Because now you've got something where they were using Instagram and the BLM hashtag to spread the message, spread news, etc. Through the organizing groups. they were using the hashtag to spread news, and now it's blacked out. Yeah. To me, it sounds like, fam, it sounds like somebody in the KKK or something was like, you know, we'll get them because we don't want them spreading the information anymore. So let's do this Black Square Solidarity. And I know that's not how it started out, but my point is, everybody jumped on because it was the easiest way to show solidarity. But why do we even need people to show solidarity when they're not doing shit? Like my school, I brought it up with my teacher. They posted a picture of they took this picture a while back with all the black students. Yeah, I think they did it for Black History Month, basically saying like, you know, the school's diverse. Bruv, I went to that school for 11 years. My brother went 4 years as well, so 15 years, 2 black teachers. So you don't have any black staff. So you're saying, yet you're praising the black kids on the thing. And bear in mind, it's a fee-paying school. So all these black kids have paid their school fees. So why are you getting a pat on the back for letting them in? Is it that like black people shouldn't be allowed in, but you know, we let a few of them in because that's us showing solidarity? That's why I'm like, bro, the whole compelling people to show solidarity, firstly, does nothing. Secondly, it's like this thing of like, people are scared to post or whatever because they might receive hate. Yeah. Firstly, if you're receiving hate for posting it, you're in the wrong circles. You're in the wrong circles, bro. Secondly, are you doing this to receive love? Like, who told you that, you know, posting about this stuff, everybody's gonna love you and you're gonna be, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So clearly you're doing it to receive love. So you're doing it for the wrong reasons. So fuck off. Then bruv, they're shook to post online. Fam, we're not asking for a hunger strike. We're shook to post a story. And I'm not even one that's trying to compel people to post a story, because I'm like, fam, you can see, like, firstly, pressing add to story is nothing. So I don't care if you do it or not. But then to turn around and be like, oh, I'm just too scared to do it because my followers might think this and that. Bro, I beg you, fuck off. We don't need your post. We don't need to hear from you. You clearly have
even that, man. Even that, it just comes back to why you're doing it, man. Because like, it's such a basic necessity in us to like want to feel good. That like everything. I'm just like very, very like conscious of like, I can't just say because people like post stuff or like because they like did XYZ that like they're like, they shouldn't be doing it to be called an ally. Do you know what I mean? Like it shouldn't be part of a thing of like you're doing it for like self gratification.
Ally thing, it pisses me off, and then it actually, and I know it's necessary to an extent as well, but honestly it pains me when I see like black people have taken the time out to write a guide to allies on how to be an ally. Like, you're literally telling people how not to be a shit person, and it's like, bro, and I know obviously it's necessary.
I've seen that shared so much, like how to be.
I know it's necessary, but it actually makes me angry. Like, why does it even need this? Like, how does it get to this stage? Like, it
shouldn't be how to be a good ally. The post should be how to support the cause. Like, that's how you can support the cause. Like, why is it how to be a good ally? Why have we made it something of like, this is how you too can be a good person? Like,
my thing is, bro, if they do the work in terms of like, Google is free. If you do your Googles, yeah, the information is all there. It will come, unless you're an idiot. If you read this stuff, yeah. Actually, no, I shouldn't say that, because there's a lot of very well-read people that are still racist. So I feel like you need to read the stuff and also engage in like conversations about it, and just like read stuff that challenges your opinion and like be willing to change your opinion. Because if you read it with a mindset of this is wrong and read it almost to prove that it's wrong, then you're never going to change. So I just feel like for the majority of people, once you read the stuff and you take your ego out of it, like it shouldn't even need a step-by-step guide. People shouldn't have to take their time out to write a step-by-step guide, because it will be obvious to you. If it's a Black Lives Matter march and I'm a white person, I shouldn't be leading it. Or if it's writing a letter to a school and I'm a white person, I shouldn't be writing it, because I don't experience it. So like I said, they'll be like, oh, I feel racism's bad. Okay, which specific instances are you referring to? Oh, I don't know, I just feel all racism's bad. You're fucking up the thing, bro. You're fucking like.
But even in that situation, right? Now let's say we're in that situation and someone challenges you. Okay, if you actually are about what you say you're about,
you should fall back.
Then you should go and learn more in it. That should like be a motivation to say like, right, I
Exactly.
actually don't know enough about this. But like, because everyone wants to be like treated like some kind of savior or like some kind of ally or like wants to be even like among like the black community potentially seen as woke, then like it sort of means that you now have to feel like you need to hit back and say like, oh, like for the J. Cole example, I don't like your tone, or for like example of like someone who like gets told that they're not being a good ally, or like I feel like
I'm
guys
doing
are
my
not
best.
like
I'm doing my
guys are
best.
pushing people away from your movement
Yeah.
by not being inclusive and etc. etc. It's like if you're not in it for the right reasons, then don't be in it. Like just go about your day and we'll handle it. The people who like are trying to do it for the right reasons will handle it, innit?
Sometimes I'm like, and obviously because that plays into white fragility, because they feel like, again, their egos are so fragile that like, if their ego's bruised in this whole thing, they're like, oh, you know, fuck it. I tried to help, but the black people don't want me to help, so blah 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 blah. Yeah. But I'm also like, for a lot of the things that we want to happen, we don't need people to be on the same page. We need the numbers.
No, we don't need people to be on the same page.
So
I'm not saying that people shouldn't have like differences of opinion. I'm just saying that people shouldn't take everything as a personal slight.
No, definitely,
like
definitely that. But I mean,
like
more like,
social cause.
I feel more like for people that are very radical or have radicalized themselves, yeah, it's pretty simple for them. Like abolish the police, you know, fuck capitalism, all this stuff, yeah, etc. Certain people aren't that. They haven't radicalized themselves, so they're supposed anti-racist or whatever, but they're not that far along the thing. Yeah, do you get me? And there's a lot of black people that are still, you know, proponents of capitalism. That's it. We debated it on flipping Ife's show. But I'm like, you don't, for example, like if you're trying to, I guess, teach people and recruit them for the cause or whatever, yeah, they don't need to agree with you that we need to dismantle capitalism for us to still make progress. So like,
yeah, I mean, depends on the type of progress you want to make. If your progress is to dismantle capitalism,
that's my point. It's like, I feel like
do.
The thing just, bro, when I start thinking about this stuff, I just start going, my mind.
I guess it's complicated. It's complicated, but I do also agree that, like, I do also agree that you can like make change without people having to have the exact same views. I'm just saying that like being challenged shouldn't like turn you like inwards of like, now I have to make sure that I'm not part of this because I don't want to get attacked about something again. Just
no, you're right.
Yeah.
I want to reiterate that men are trash and black men are the weakest link, and we need to do better, bro. And the thing is, I see all this stuff and I don't even know how we do better, because we just keep fucking up, bro. Like, it's sad to see. Like, you see black women like on the front lines, kind of thing, or if you want to call it the front lines, kind of fighting for us, etc. Then when a black woman dies or is, you know, in the same situation, and firstly, the whole narrative of like police brutality and stuff. And obviously, I know statistically, black men are more likely to be victims of police brutality, but that doesn't mean that you should ignore, you know, black women or black trans people and etc. And I don't know. I just feel like once the thing is shifted, like we end up just doing the same, like almost oppressing within the black community, because like once the spotlight isn't on us. So for example, if we're talking about, to be honest, I can't even pronounce her name, but the black girl that was killed last week. If once the focus is on her, now you're talking about all this other stuff and saying like, oh, this is distracting. I saw someone say it's distracting from the Black Lives Matter movement. Because obviously she wasn't killed by police, she was killed by a black man who sexually assaulted her. But I'm thinking, bro, Black lives matter, not Black lives that are men that were killed by police. Like Black lives altogether. And which then it makes me think, bro, if we can't even understand it ourselves, when I say we, I'm talking specifically Black men, because I feel like everybody else in the Black community has got it, except us. So if we can't understand that it's not about just us specifically, it's not Black male lives matter. It's like Black lives. Anybody that is Black, their life matters. So if we can't even get it, then what hope do we have for other people getting it? So then it kind of just makes me think, how are we going to progress if we can't even fucking agree on that we need to protect Black women? Or anyway, I had to get that off my chest as well. Anyway.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I agree with you.
Thanks for listening. You've been listening to 2Gs in a Pod. Catch us on Spotify, 2Gs in a Pod, on your Spotify, SoundCloud. SoundCloud is 2Gs in a Pod podcast, and Apple Podcasts. Catch us on Instagram at 2Gs in a Pod. Catch us on Twitter at 2Gs in a Pod _. Black lives matter. Black trans lives matter. Black women matter.
Protect Black women, yeah. I mean, there's a lot more conversation to be had around that. Like,
but I feel like
I agree with you.
I feel like we should get a woman. I feel like we should get a Black woman to chat about that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll be mansplaining a lot, bro. So,
that's true.
And we'll leave with this Trey Songz song. How many times?
2 G's on the belt, yeah, I'm feeling this girl, and I'm feeling myself.